yeah, in September of 1949, I went with two friends from Chicago to Paris, and we happened to stay in a restaurant, in a hotel that was near a restaurant that Barbara and her traveling companion Louise Voskirchen were also eating. We saw each other daily, paid very little attention to each other. They thought we were intruding upon their territory. We thought they were a couple of fishing school girls who were just doing the tour. But one day, because it was a small restaurant and it was crowded, we were forced to sit at the same table. And we knew each other was American and they spoke English, so we really had to talk to them. And as we talked, we discovered that we had a lot in common, that we really liked each other, and we decided to, well, Barbara was an artist and she invited me to her hotel room, which was also her studio. And I saw for the first time one of her works, which was a portrait of this Louise Voskirchen, which I was astounded by. I thought how good it was. Actually, she was obviously a very talented and serious artist. And then we went, after that, we saw a lot of each other. We went to museums, to concerts together. And then finally, in December of that year, 1949, it got to be kind of uncomfortable. The weather got to be damp and cold in Paris, and there was no Sophie Centrale there. So we decided, Barbara knew an artist named Ralph Coburn, who was also a dear friend of hers from Boston, and he was staying in a small fishing village called Sannery in Provence. And because he was there, we decided, Barbara said, why don't we go there? I know somebody. Ralph was clearly not happy with seeing this onslaught of Americans in his town that he had found. But anyway, he put up with us, and we eventually became very close friends. And we stayed in Sannery that winter of 49 into 50. And then we split up. Barbara's parents were coming from the United States for a trip to visit Barbara's father's relatives in Sweden, and they were going to spend the summer. Barbara and I said we would meet again in Paris in September. That would be September 1950. We didn't say when in September or where in Paris, but we would meet in Paris. And actually it happened. I came from Sweden. I got a ride with some South American gentlemen part of the way. And one of the most astonishing things is that I went as far from Stockholm to Amsterdam with these men, and then they decided not to go to Paris, but to, they were going somewhere else. But it was still late August, and I still didn't have to meet till September, so I stayed in Amsterdam on my own for a while, visiting the museums and seeing the city. And I had a particular route I took from the hotel. It was a student hostel, actually. I had a route I took from that to the Rijksmuseum and back again, so I wouldn't get lost. So the last day, my last visit to the museum, and I'm walking back to my rooming house, and I decided to take a different route because I knew Amsterdam just was my last trip, so I said I'll see something different. By taking that different route, I happened to pass the only outdoor cafe in Amsterdam. And as I walked by this cafe, I looked at the people sitting at the tables, and I thought I saw Barbara. And I couldn't believe it, so I kept going. And then I said, hey, that might really be Barbara. And I looked back, and she looks at me, and it was her. She had just seen her parents off back to the United States from Rotterdam, and she had a week or so before September, so she decided she'd go to Amsterdam too. And we met in Amsterdam, and we were together ever since then. When she was back, I hopped the train from Chicago to Boston. And because of her connection with the Boris Mirsky Gallery, she was already an artist representative there, and Ralph had also been a director there, and he was going back to Europe. I just fell into that job as a director of the Boris Mirsky Gallery, which I remained for 16 years until I opened my own gallery. And we're still working at it.